Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Peace be to you, my friends. What is thought? What is thinking at its essence? I think it's the most misunderstood thing because nobody knows what thought is. If you look at the mind, it's based on memory and imagination. So you have some thoughts that are based on memory, where you have certain memories that come up, and you have imagination, visualization, and so on. But most thought, if you really pay attention to what is happening in your mind and you observe your mind closely, you'll realize that thinking is nothing but you talking to yourself. You know how when you walk on a city street and you see someone that's talking out loud to themselves and you think they're crazy. In reality is they may be, but we do the same thing in our head too. But we do it silently. We talk to ourselves constantly in our head. And most of the time, this self-talk, this thinking is negative. So I want you to test this out. Take time for stillness and silence, for just to call it quiet time or meditative time, where you train your mind to be meditative and just be still and quiet and observe life, be present. If you could do it outdoors, great, because it helps. Just listen to the various sounds of nature and the sights and take it all in, and then close your eyes and just go within. Be silent, and then as soon as you make that decision, okay, I'm going inside, I'm gonna look within, I'm gonna be silent, be quiet, be still. The moment you decide that, you realize that your mind is thinking, and if you pay attention to what it is doing, you will see that it is nothing but you talking to yourself. Most of the time, I'm not saying memories and imagination, because that rarely pops up. What pops up most of the time is that self-talk. That is what is ongoing throughout our lives. That is what we are unconscious about. Throughout our day, it is happening all the time. We're talking to ourselves without even knowing it. And we call this thinking. But if you take the time to just look within, to be still and quiet, and observe your mind, and realize that you are thinking, you are talking to yourself, and that it is not a great thing to do. It is not the best way to live life. It deadens your experience of life. That's what it does. Because if you're caught in your head, you can't experience life the way it is. So observe your mind. Look within. Be aware of what is happening inside of you. And the moment you realize, oh, I'm talking to myself and that I'm thinking, and it's happening all the time, then you've made a great step, because then you can detach yourself from the thinking mind. You can be still, be quiet, bathe in peace and serenity, and not allow your mind to rob you of the joy that is possible in every moment. And then see the difference between living unconsciously, living with that constant self-talk, constant thinking, without being aware, without awareness. Compare that to being still and quiet and being fully aware and conscious and detached from that thinking mind. Compare the two and see the difference. You'll realize that one is peaceful and one is restless and negative. That is my message for you today. And that is what thinking really is. It's mostly self-talk. It's you talking to yourself, which is pretty crazy, by the way, because remember how I said, I gave you the example of somebody in the street talking to themselves out loud? But we do it silently. We do it on the inside. So does that make us sane or insane? That's a question I should leave you with. Think about it. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time. Peace.